Yes, our dear listeners, welcome to this our TV Alpha TV in Rwanda. My name is Alpha Nibijira. Just now we are going to tell you the news from international scene with the MUA Insurance Company Limited and the Stay Kigali. Let's begin here in Rwanda. Former EAC boss Peter Matuki to be investigated for corruption there. The news from this country, they wrote this paragraph about for this money. The East African Legislative Assembly has announced it will investigate former Secretary General of the East African Community Peter Matuki for corruption and the abuse of office. The decision was announced on Tuesday, May 14th by the Regional House after one of its members pined Matuki on misconduct related to mismanagement of East African Community EAC finances and favoritism in recruitment processes. Matuki officially assumed the office as the Secretary General of the EAC in April 2021, and he had served for 3 years before he was nominated as Kenya's ambassador to Russia in early March. Kenya has since named his replacement at the regional bloc in his submission to the House Committee on Legal Rules and Privileges on Monday. EALA member Kennedy Mukuria accused Matuki of impunity, gross abuse of office, disregard for the EAC treaty and the other legal instruments. Citing documents linking Matuki to corrupt misconduct, the lawmaker accused some members of Matuki's team of being collaborators who ensured the wanton expenditure of community resources. Makuria alleged that EAC's Directorate of Finance spent funds whose utilization was never disclosed to the Assembly, and he accused the accounting officer and the Director of Finance, the Principal Accountant, and the Senior Budget Officer of conspiring to create and operate a separate and parallel budget process that is not within. Mukuria also said that the Electorate of Finance has been issuing irregular interest for the former Secretary General's travels. He argued that the Electorate of Finance allocated interest to the Secretary General of between $5,000 to $20,000 every time he traveled, and yet there is no budget line for interest. The lawmaker also alleged that Matuki's administration abused and mismanaged EAC's recruitment process by regularly recruiting relatives, friends, and girlfriends into the service of the community. The documents also point to the creation of separate payrolls to accommodate payments for individuals who are regularly recruited, and approval for these individuals to receive staff entitlements, including settlement allowances and the payment of arrears. Mukuria said that above. The lawmaker said the staff members who resisted or rejected the Matuki's policies and the intentions, and the Mukuria urged the House Committee to investigate Matuki and his office, and again to establish the officers whose deliberate efforts or negligence facilitate these abuses to establish themselves in the community. The Legal Rules and Privileges Committee is expected to submit its findings and the recommendations on the issue once the investigations are concluded. The House said without communicating when the inquiries will begin or end. In Uganda, in talks with China's Sinohydro over power line to South Sudan. Uganda is in talks with the Chinese firm Sinohydro Corporation Limited for the development of 180 million of US dollars power transmission line to allow Uganda to export power to energy served South Sudan. The presidency office said that. As part of the talks, a delegation led by Yang Yizin, Sinohydro Corporation's vice president, met Uganda's President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on Monday. A statement from Museveni's office said late on Monday. The project will involve the construction of 138 kilometers, which means 85 and above miles, high voltage transmission line to take power to South Sudan. The expansion of 2 substations and the construction of one new one, the statement said that. Museveni expressed the support for Sinohydro's offer to develop the project, the statement said. In June last year, the two countries signed their power sales agreement to allow Uganda to sell electricity to South Sudan. The Chinese firm is completing a $1.5 billion in US dollar to 600 megawatt hydropower project on River Nile in northern Uganda that is meant to be the source for electricity export to South Sudan. Let us go in Kenya. President of this country, William Ruto Samoei, appoint former Ambassador Lazarus Amayo special envoy to the African Union. President William Ruto Samoei has appointed the outgoing Kenya ambassador to the US, Lazarus Amayo, as the special envoy of the African Union, championing for institutional reform. Mr. Amayo will support the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs in steering the presidency mandate as the African Union champion for institutional reform. According to a statement by Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, the special envoy is expected to play a critical role in driving US institutional reforms in liaison with the State Department for Foreign Affairs and the African Union institutions. Mr. Amayo previously held several senior public positions, among them ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations in 2018 to 2020 and the High Commissioner of Kenya to the United Kingdom 2014 up to 2018. The permanent representative of Kenya to the International Maritime Organization IMO and other Commonwealth organizations. The special envoy post previously served as the director for Europe and the Commonwealth division at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade from in 2010 to 2014, High Commissioner of Kenya to Zambia and Malawi, and the permanent representative to COMESA 2006 up to 2010. In Tanzania, President Samia Suluhu Hassan Clean Cooking Summit mobilized $2 billion and above US dollars. Dar es Salaam, the first ever high-level clean cooking summit, which focused on providing clean cooking access in Africa, managed to mobilize $2 billion and above US dollars. Significant milestone in efforts to address a challenge affecting women and children. The event, which took place in Paris, France, was co-chaired by President Samia Suluhu Hassan alongside the Africa Development Bank Group President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre, and the International Energy Agency IEA Executive Director Fatih Birol. Speaking during the event, President Hassan called for generous replenishment of the African Development Fund that includes $12 billion US dollars for clean cooking. As such, during the summit, more than 100 countries, international institutions, companies, and civil society organizations also signed onto the Clean Cooking Declaration, pledging to make the issue a priority and enhancing efforts towards achieving the universal access for all goal. The landmark event aims to drive significant change in clean cooking access for the nearly 1 billion Africans using polluting fuel, which causes premature death of approximately 500,000 women and children annually. Among core purposes for the event was to mobilize funds, which according to the FDB and the $4 billion US dollars is needed annually to achieve clean cooking access for 250 million African women by 2030. Speaking at the summit, President Hassan remarked ensuring clean cooking access for all in Africa needs adequate, affordable, and sustainable financing for appropriate solutions and innovations, adequate global attention, and smart policies and partnerships. Thank you for being with us, our dear listeners. This is Alpha TV in Rwanda. My name is Alpha Nibijira. We have been together with the MU Insurance, the branch of Nyabugogo and the State Kigali, located to Kinamba in Nyarugenge district. Thank you for being with us again, and have a good time, our dear listeners.
Muraho, nitwa Nigena Josiane, nkaba nkorera company yitwa MU Insurance ishami rya Nyabugogo. Product dutanga harimo motor insurance, harimo fire insurance, general accident insurance, engineering insurance, bama bonds, marine insurance, money insurance, travel insurance, aviation insurance n'izindi. Twabashishikarizaga rero kutugana, dutanga service nziza. Tukaba twari mu kimbere ya Beka mu etaje y'uwitwa Jacobo, etaje ifatanye na station SP. Ikaze rero, ni karibu. MU Insurance ni ya kera, imaze igihe iri gukora cyane kuko yahinduye izina. Mbere yitwaga Phoenix Insurance, ubu ngubu yitwa MU Insurance. Ikaze bakiriya beza, murakoze.